Hey guys, Will here from machinelovers.com, here with another video in the series of Casper writing. But if you haven't been following along in the series, that's fine. Today we're going to go through essentially this, querying data from Dynamo DB to generate text. So over the past couple of videos, we've been grabbing data from Reddit submissions and then storing that data to AWS, Dynamo DB, and this video now is grabbing, what do we need to do to grab that data back out of Dynamo DB? Here it is. Here's our articles database in Dynamo. What do we need to do to grab that data and use it, and how are we going to use it? So this is just a taste, just the simple, what can we do to build some kind of model that generates text from what we've pulled. Okay, our first moves here are from Casper Data Dynamo import articles table. So what this does is essentially, if you haven't been following along, we need to connect to Dynamo DB and grab our data out of it. And so what this amounts to is essentially importing. Here, I'll just write out the steps here. We have to import Boto3. Instead of doing that, let's see. All we need is Boto3 there. Okay, so let's see. We need to make a Dynamo. We need to connect to Dynamo. So how do we do that? Let's go here. Connect to Dynamo by going Boto3 resource. So make that connection, and then from that connection, what you can do is just look up your table. Okay, so the table is from DynamoDB, from that connection, dot table, and the name of your table, we have articles. Okay, so then I don't need my helpers. So I had my previous code, I just did all of these couple steps instead. And then what we've been doing is saving data by subreddit. So I want to query the DynamoDB by subreddit. Now to do that, I needed to make a new index. What this is called is, I believe, global secondary indexes. And this was not in the original database. I needed to add it in by going here, create an index, and then adding subreddit as that index. And then it took a while to backfill into the database, because in another video what we did was we built a pipeline to keep pumping data into this table. And so there's a reasonable sized data, it's growing all the time, of articles in here. Now what you can see is this adds cost to what you're doing. So you don't want to add indexes lightly. But once you have that index, what you're able to do from Dynamo is sort on it and then search on it, things like that. And so you can parse out all of the different indices that you want. So if you just wanted things from I don't know, from writing, you can do that. Okay, so once you have that index, you can search on the index. You can't search on something that's not an index, and I just learned that from reading the Amazon documentation. If there is a better way, please let me know in the comments below. But anyway, I'm gonna say let's use one paragraph. You can use something else, whatever kind of data that you've collected and put into your DynamoDB. And so query the table on the index. The key is the subreddit, and that's the key that we've been saving into DynamoDB, and it has to equal subreddit. Okay, and so you get a response, and from that response has items. I'm not sure what else the response has. Actually, I'm kind of interested. So scanned count, last evaluated. Let's see scanned count. I'm interested to see what this is. 89. Okay. So how many did I get? I got 89. So I have 89 articles that are from writing prompts. Okay. And so let me zoom out a little bit. I can see the attributes of one of these items. I can get, let's see, some of the self-text of one of these items. I guess not. So items is a list of 89 things. Self-text is none. So no self-text here. But, oh, well, let's see, I could get the title. Okay, so now we have this data, and I think I didn't go with this because there's not a lot of self.text, which is what I need. One paragraph is a subreddit where folks write a paragraph, and so there is that self-text key that we can use, right? So this paragraph is something that we want to use for machine learning, and so what we need to do then is clean this data and get it ready to feed into a model. And I have 200 of these articles. So essentially, here's a little function. I don't like functions that are camel case. I like snake case. Just remove the new lines. I could do a lot more with removing punctuation and other things like that. And then returns lowercase for the text. That should help in the machine learning model. Okay, so then for those 200 items, go through the self-text and clean up all of the self-text. And then what you wind up with is something like this. Okay, so text that we can use to put into this great little library that is really convenient, which is textgenrnn. So this, the author, I forget his name, has this really great library. I'm not going to run this because I trained it on 10 epochs, so 10 epochs, 10 runs through the data. So the data that I trained this on had 160,000 character sequences, and running it through on my local CPU 10 times and then spitting out output after every 2 epochs took a couple hours, and so I don't want to do it again. But you essentially just pip install this textgenrnn, instantiate it, and then train on text. So this text is just a list of those self.text that we had from our Dynamo DB database, 200 of them. Those 200 one paragraph texts turned into 254,000 characters, which I put into this textgenrnn easy RNN generative model. And then so after every 2 epochs, what it's doing is setting the temperature, which essentially defines how wild you're going to allow the text to be. And even after 2 epochs, you get a sense of like something that's not coherent yet, but it's language, right? And so this also didn't work as well as I would have liked, because I think this one paragraph allows anything in, and so this would work better if there was one central theme. If you were writing, tweets from one person and they had a consistent style, something like that, then this could work a lot better. And so that's one thing to think about. So I trained this on 10 epochs, had it print out every 2 times, and so I can monitor what's going on. It's just sort of generating. So a temperature of 1 is really wild. You sort of get out there, and then 2 is a lot more conservative in terms of what the model should produce. And you can play around with the temperatures, and so I could generate samples here for different temperatures and could see how that works. And so I have this trained, so I could essentially deploy this somewhere. So a temperature before, you know, I started destined, you know, that's not a word, the world and safety will be reflecting a moment at a few hours of future of cold. So it doesn't make sense, but you can see that it's starting to converge. And so what you can do is load this up on an AWS instance. Maybe I do that in another video, and train it using a GPU and training on a bunch more epochs, and then train it on a bunch more texts from one particular subreddit. So let's just see. So you can generate different samples, you can give it prefixes, but what I wanted to show you is what this is powerful in doing is, so I have it generating one, I'm going to have it generate one sample output, set the temperature at 0.4, and then you can add a prefix and return it as a list. And so what this does is it gets me a text, a piece of text, okay? And then what I can do is there's this sort of Python library I Googled around and found called Gingerit, which allows you to make some grammatically correct sentences. I'm going to get a different piece of text because this one has a swear word in it. I don't like that for this video. Okay. So I don't know. So this will generate from the output that we get. From the output of the RNN model, you can pass it through things that will take that output and start to turn it into more coherent sentences. And so this is the beginning of a pipeline, perhaps, towards text generation, towards ghostwriting. First timid step, but a step nonetheless. And this is something that you can do to, you know, when you have that data, you can start using it in different ways. And one of the ways that you can use it is to start generating text. And it's pretty simple. I'm not sure how long this video is going to wind up being in total, but it's only been maybe 20 minutes so far, and I was able to do all of this. Okay, if you like this video, if you like other videos, please like and subscribe, hit the bell. I'm almost out of battery power, but thank you for all the support. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. Give me a like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys, and I will talk to you later.